Hello everybody, welcome to Fairfield Prep News. I'm your host, Jack Reynolds. Today we have a guest from Fairfield Construction, Hugh Connell.
Hi Jack, good to see you.
Hello Hugh, welcome. It's good to see you too. I have a few short questions that I've been eager to ask you. So Hugh, let me ask you, how did you make the tire the required height? In other words, how many index cards did you use?
Well, let me tell you, I used 20 3x5 index cards, which we use vertically to add up to 30 centimeters. On each level of the tower, we had 4 cylinders, and between each cylinder stacked up was 1 index card to keep them supported and balanced.
That's great. So Hugh, how do you use folds in your design to achieve strength and stability?
After some trial and error, we decided we would not use folds. We actually used cylinders, which worked well because you could adjust the thickness they needed to be, so that way you were able to create a stronger base depending on what you are building for your structure.
Wow, that's very smart. How did you cut costs without sacrificing stability? In other words, was there a way that you minimized the cards that you used in the project?
Well, one way I did that was I removed a roof off the top for the last one, and then we didn't use a card in between the roof and the objects that we were stacking on top of it because it just wasn't necessary. And then there also wasn't a card on the bottom of the foundation because the table can just support that.
Interesting. Okay, describe what part of your design was successful as you predicted and what was not.
Well, we did try many ways, and it wasn't worthwhile using double or triple note cards because it did add strength, although it would just be the same ratio of cards to weight supported, which would not help, and it would just add an unnecessary amount of note cards that we didn't need to use.
Okay, perfect. You just answered my next question. Was it worthwhile to double up or triple up the cards for added strength?
Well, no. For example, if I had a card and it held up 7 newtons, that was 1 card, and the next one, the ratio is obviously 1 to 7, right? So if I do that for the next one and I use 2 cards, it's going to hold up 14 newtons, and by thickening them up and putting 2 and 1, it just didn't do anything for the ratio. It just kept the amount of cards the same.
Yeah, I understand. What difficulties did you anticipate completing the first corded project, building a 30 centimeter tall tower composed of only index cards designed to hold the greatest weight possible with the fewest number of cards?
Well, I figured the thin note cards would have trouble supporting the weight and would end up collapsing a lot. When we determined we were going to use cylinders as our foundation, I assumed that it would be difficult to keep them tight and completely rolled, and balance seemed like it would be an issue as well.
Okay, so in general, did tall or short shape do a better job of holding weight? And why do you think that is?
Short shapes definitely did a way better job. Because I said earlier about balance being a big problem in creating these things, so tall shapes just don't have the balance as short shapes do, meaning they don't have more stability and they can hold more weight. And even though there is a factor of the height that you need in the note cards, it was just better to do short cards and stack them up on 4 levels. They also have a wider surface area, and which allows that for them to hold a heavier amount of weight.
What physics concepts do you think are addressed in the video? What material in class ties into the skills needed to complete this project?
Well, a concept that it demonstrates is the force of gravity, which is always acting upon us and any structure around us. It is pulling down the books or the weight that we use. It shows how the weight that we put down on it will eventually cause the tower to collapse. And we also realized that applying more force on one side of the note card could lead to the collapse of the tower. So this made us very, very careful and precise when placing the weight on the tower.
Okay, Hugh, in conclusion, give me one more statement about why this company should hire you to build their building.
Well, I clearly show that I know how to build a stable structure that can use a minimum amount of note cards and hold the most amount of weight. So I have pretty good ratio here with the amount of note cards that are holding up the weight, and it's going to help the company save money and in the future lead to further projects that will be more successful.
Okay, thank you for coming to your show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, Jack.
I will now put up on a screen a stop motion video of the construction of Hugh Connell's tower. Thank you for watching tonight's broadcast. I hope you enjoyed the show.